say.
That's right.
The dadgum bucket.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens now that the Cowboys did not renew the head coach's.
Oh, you think he's going to become? He says he doesn't want to go to the NFL.
Well,
he hasn't accomplished. He hasn't won anything yet. Where he was at.
Well, I think the reality of it is it depends on the situation, right? He's got a relationship with Jerry Jones. I don't know that. I don't think he'll go to Dallas.
Right.
But he's got a relationship with Jerry Jones.
I don't think he's accomplished what he wants. Like, never say never, but I don't think he's accomplished what he wants to accomplish. More importantly, I was having a conversation the other day, and sports was coming up. People were going back and forth on people were going back and forth on their teams. Then they got to college, and they were talking about college and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, all I need to know is who's winning. Then I can tell you who's got the best record. I can tell you who I'm for.
Right.
That's the easiest way. I'm not dying on the vine. I feel bad for people that follow teams that are just horrendous.
Right. They're perpetually bad.
My literal text. There was Willie H was on this text. He'll know a group of us that text each other. We're talking about one of the performance, I guess, like the Commanders or something.
Oh, okay.
But they were like, talking about their teams. Right. So my reply was, go Lions, Chiefs, Eagles. It was / because they have since at the time of that text message, they had the top records.
Oh yeah.
So that's how I'll be.
And was that the Kansas City Chiefs or the Colonial Heights Chiefs?
Oh well, don't even get started on that. I don't know what their record was this year, but here's what I do know: I know it will never be 13-1 again.
Right.
And that's funny because I'm actually having a lunch this week.
Okay.
With a friend that I have not seen since middle school.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I have
not seen him in person.
Well, it's not fantastic you haven't seen him. It's fantastic you're going to see him.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It's the magic of social media. I just sent him his birthday popped up, and I just said, happy birthday, Yeah. He's like, we need to get together. And then there you go. So I love it. All right, well, if you don't know where you are yet, I mean, you have to kind of consciously push the button here. You don't kind of really end up on us by accident. I don't think, right? It's a conscious decision. Well,
you chose
in case you didn't know, just to make sure you're familiar, this is the Grow Business Podcast. I'm your host, Cory Mosley, and I'm joined by the abominable. I'll try it again. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague and co-host, LG007 Lon Graham is here. Voice of reason.
It's good to be here, Cory.
Yeah. You never know what I'm going to... I just go with what feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
Right, sometimes it's endearing. Sometimes it's borderline insulting. I don't know. But it's all done with love. And the guy starting out pretty well so far. I like to start it, with 3 minutes in. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. But I'm talking about the man, the myth, the legend, pushing the buttons. You know him as Willie H is here. Hit the buttons, William.
That's so perfect.
So, yeah. So we're off to a good start.
We are.
2025. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, literally just trying to get this thing going. And you've been on the road. I've got emails going off. I've got text messages coming in all in real time here while we're doing this. Yes, I mean, good. You gotta keep your attention right. In the place here. So,
well, I think in the previous episode you were talking about your conscious awareness of how you get distracted and how you might have self-diagnosed something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did talk about that. Yeah. Well, I'm going further down that rabbit hole. So,
okay.
I'm going to be working on that. Who knows what that's going to be. But as always, we've got another great show planned for you today. We base our show, we're here to do one thing that's help you grow your business. We base our show upon the principles of what I call the 5 pillars of business growth: mindset, sales, marketing, operations, and people. Chocked full of information as described in the Amazon best-selling book, Position for Growth. Encouraged to get in everybody's hands. We're going to be doing some traveling this year. We've got some great dates lined up to get Position for Growth in people's hands. And continue to deliver that message. Exactly. And we like to start our shows, or I should say run our shows, based upon one of those principles. And LG, if you're new to the show, generally just rolls with whatever we're talking about. We don't have there's no I'd love to tell you it was that organized. I know we look very organized, particularly if you're watching us on YouTube and our set and everything. But it's not as organized as you'd like to think. It generally revolves around me picking some topic, rolling into the studio, LG 007 showing up, and then finding out the information afterwards.
In real time.
Yeah. Do you want your guess on what pillar? Because I don't think I revealed it. No, what pillar we're going to work on today? What would your thought be?
So my thought is that because the first 2 episodes of the year were on mindset, I got about an 80% chance. Or 20.
It's not going to be mindset. So now you've got it down, right?
So I've got
25.
So I've got operations, sales, marketing.
That's right.
So let's go with operations.
You peaked on you peaked at didn't you?
No, I had 1 in 4 chance of being right.
All right, well, give that man a ding, ding, ding. Bingo. That's like my Oprah. Like you get a car.
That's right.
Yes, we are talking about operations today.
Perfect.
We opened the year with the discussion about mindset, and now let's just say I've got my mind right. I've got we talked about goal setting versus versus not commandments. Resolutions and those things,
resolutions,
right? But really going to that mindset, right? Get your mind right. Now you can do some other things.
Right.
So from an operations standpoint, because this is when a lot of things change. We've switched some services, consolidated some things.
Yes.
All these things are happening operationally, right? Merging, finding redundancies.
Okay.
Because a lot of redundancies that we don't realize, particularly the bigger your company. If you're a one-person company and you've got everything channeled through one thing, it's a lot easier to keep hands on it. But if you got multiple things, if you have multiple enterprises, you're running multiple business, it's very interesting what can creep up on you that you don't know. Like, I've got 3 of these subscriptions.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That especially.
Yeah. And for a lot of us that take on this rompopeel, as I call it, he coined the phrase, set it and forget it.
Yes.
So for many of us that take that on, we also don't realize there's a middle ground between, looking at other solutions or comparing solutions and driving yourself insane doing that.
Right.
So there is that side where we're constantly, because if you want to stay on the front of the learning curve. But the opposite of that is just checking the box and never coming back later and realizing, you know what? That service you've been using for 3 years, well, there's been a lot of advancements in technology that maybe your provider has not advanced, or maybe some costs. We're switching over to a piece of software that is 60% less expensive than a product that we've been on for a little while.
Okay.
That we're probably using about 25% of what it can do.
Right.
So there's no reason of having 3-4 times the cost.
Correct. Yeah.
So everybody's looking at that. But I want to go a step further in this area. And I will tell you technically, we're doing a double.
Okay.
Because part of what we're talking about in operations is leveraging outsourcing and automation to save time and money.
Okay.
So obviously some of that outsourcing is could be argued to be people related. So not team building or that piece, but more looking at outsourcing and automation in there. So you might have a spillover, and there's always a spillover in the 5 pillars, right?
Correct.
But we want to focus on what the predominant pillar is to now go deeper in that area. So
we've got an operations pillar that is supported by people.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. So when we talk about, let's just jump in and start to have the conversation about outsourcing.
Yeah.
Because outsourcing has been very impactful, and there's obviously a debate on what that looks like. Right. For most of the time, for many of us, we are in the gig economy.
Yes.
And so many people really, with laptop, with internet, albeit you won't be able to do that at Starbucks much longer without buying something.
Oh, is that right?
So that was recent news that
I didn't see that.
Just getting your laptop and then you can go work on the free Wi-Fi at Starbucks and build your business.
Okay.
Gonna have to at least get a Pike Place. gonna have to at least get a tall, get a tall something, or a bag of peanuts.
Right.
Which there could be $7. So you might be better off better off getting that single shot or getting that plain coffee over there. But
exactly.
But needless to say, outsourcing means a lot of different things to people.
Yes.
A lot of times, depending on where you fall in the hierarchy of life, outsourcing may be, people confuse that with offshoring.
Okay.
People confuse that with jobs leaving,
Right.
America.
Right.
Right. The idea of outsourcing. But
Right.
it's a fine line because you also deal with like regulations.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people that get in trouble because they're trying to beat the W-2, trying to beat providing benefits, they're trying to beat taxes, they're trying to beat that. So they get in trouble. And they have what officially are employees.
Correct.
But are in this kind of, I'm outsourcing environment.
It's that 1099 versus W-2.
Correct. And I'm, I'm not here to be a tax accountant or anything like that, but obviously, the way that truly works is of course, the way you cover yourself on that. Again, seek professional advice here.
Right, for sure.
But typically is as long as the person that you're outsourcing to has their own entity set up.
Correct.
That's how you can't, I want Joe here 40 hours a week, but I don't want to pay Joe that way.
Right.
So I'm just going to pay Joe off book.
Right.
The party don't work like that.
Correct.
Now, you might be getting away with that.
Right. Until
now.
Correct.
Yeah. Eventually, they find you.
Right.
Just ask some of those PPP people. those PPP that are getting ready to do 3 to 5.
Yes.
For that. Hope you enjoyed Bora Bora.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about outsourcing, we're effectively talking about offloading non-core or repetitive tasks to external experts or service providers.
Yes.
So you have the rise of the virtual assistant, the rise of these different types of things. And then from an automation standpoint, purely, right, that's simply using technology and software to complete tasks with minimal human interaction. That doesn't mean there's not interaction or intervention, I should say, with minimal.
Correct.
And go ahead.
Let me say that's that input and programming so that you can get these repetitive tasks done for you, so that it frees up some time for you.
Right, you've said it right there. Time, resources, also the ability to focus on strategic growth.
Yes.
Because every day a business owner deals with the in the business, on the business quagmire, right?
Correct.
You find yourself deep into the minutia, and then you put your head up and you find you didn't have time for strategy.
Right.
Or the strategy is running out. Now it's time for new strategy, but now you're head down.
Correct.
Or you're spending so much time in strategy, nobody's getting anything done. So that's the thread of the needle. And, listen, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, that's 100% right. You're 100% right. Yep.
So they both matter in that area. So I want to just talk about some benefits from a delegation standpoint. Really get your head set on that, because there's some things I think a lot of business owners may be doing that they don't need to do.
Okay.
There's some, and again, I say this, I'm not here to advocate for putting people out of jobs or anything like that. But math is math sometimes.
Right.
And I know a lot of people, unfortunately, particularly during COVID, post-COVID, that, went out of business trying to do quote unquote the right thing.
Right. Well, it's where you're trying to keep from putting somebody else out of a job.
Correct.
And then
because you feel responsible. It's a responsibility.
Business.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
And there's people that went out of business trying to do the right thing. And I don't know that the reward, because those individuals who maybe were out of work went on to find other jobs, assumably, right? I mean, based on the economic numbers.
Correct.
Found another job, another opportunity, but many of those business owners haven't recovered yet.
Right.
So it is a tough area, but strictly talking about business, and again, this may be people taking on new roles, people maybe managing, maybe someone that you had that was a doer now can manage outsourcing, so you can take advantage of some cost savings by outsourcing certain tasks and activities.
Right.
You see this a lot. I mean, you see this a lot in the accounting world, bookkeeping world, those types of things where you just got the technology is just there, where I don't need to, books are being reconciled in real time, and different things like that. So different areas where it's effective. But, there's the obvious things, right, where we want to look, repetitive administrative tasks.
Yes.
That can be data entry. That can be payroll. I mean, so many areas that are there. So we're thinking about time benefits. We're talking about cost effectiveness, also access to expertise.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of times from this standpoint, you have a lot of people in that freelance world and that outsource world I think of fractional CFOs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, you know,
fractional CFOs, fractional CMOs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're 100% right.
Yeah, there's a real rise there, just in terms of that, piece. What are some things that come to your mind when we, on this topic?
Well, I think a couple things. One, you talk about getting time to do what you're good at. So when you started a business, you started because you were good at something and you wanted to be able to do more of it. And then you got into the business, and it's that book, and I forget who the author, but the E-Myth, right?
Gerber.
Gerber, yeah.
Yep.
So you started something because you were good at it and you wanted to do more of it, and you ended up getting do more business than what you were good at. So I think what people lose sight of and where they struggle is, one, like you talk about, there's a lot of DIY. You can do a lot of YouTube videos. They'll teach you how to do something. Doesn't mean you're going to teach you how to do it well, or doesn't mean you're going to learn how to do it well. So people are reluctant to outsource. What outsourcing does, though, is it frees up time and resources for you to do more of what you're good at.
Right.
And where I think people struggle is in making the decision to outsource is they don't always outsource the right things. They try and outsource something that they're the best position to do.
Right.
And they get lost in some of the things that are easier to do. And maybe they try and outsource, and maybe they just lose sight of what they're best positioned to do.
Well, that's how you end up in a rescue hire situation.
100%. Right.
So you go, you know what, I can't. So, I have this conversation with founders, and when I say founders, I'm talking more solopreneur founders, not got $10 million in a Series A round founders, but particularly when it comes to sales.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, obviously that's why sales is a department, operations is a department. But if you're starting out with a product or service and you think you're just going to find somebody to offload that to without any ability to sell your own product,
right?
I would tell you need to do the first 20 deals before you start engaging, because you need to understand the things that you're not going to have a true pulse on. Right. Like the sales cycle, like really those feedback points, to be able to discern if it's the salesperson, is it the sales process, is it the product?
Right.
So just going, I want somebody to solve my sales problem. I want somebody to solve my marketing problem. To your point, it's important. You don't need to get in the weeds. You want to hire the right people or engage the right people or outsource the right people. Right. But you've got to have that foundational understanding and be able to inspect what you expect.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And the sales piece is such an important one. I mean, we're talking about operations, and we're talking about what you outsource or what you have somebody else do or what you systematize. And that's probably not a word, but I like it anyway.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So
systematize, I think that's something.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded good.
Yeah.
So
email Lon if you have where my English teacher entrepreneur
said. My sister will send me a note and tell me whether that's the right word.
The proper conjugation of the verb. The preposition before the supposition. I'm just making
well, I'm going to get an email from my sister with all the words that don't count and all the ones that we can use.
Shout out to LG007's sister. I know she listens. So
she does.
We're going to shout her. What's her name?
Ellen.
Ellen. Shout out to you, Ellen.
Absolutely.
Let everybody know. Capture this clip. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm looking into the camera, shouting you out right now.
Shout out to Ellen. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
actually, email me. I'd like to get some stories. Now that we're talking about Ellen, if you're listening to this, I'd like to get some stories. Send an email to hello@CoryMosley.com and just put the topic Lon stories. I'd like some childhood stuff that I can spring on him during the show.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for all you do. Go ahead.
And I will know that you talked to her when you drop one that only she would know.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for.
Right, exactly.
I'm looking for the good. I'm not looking for Google stuff. I'm looking for the good stuff. Oh yeah, Ellen, if you have a picture of LG007, full hair, please, I need that. I just need the contrast. We're going to put it on screen, too.
It'll be part of the
so we can see if we can replicate it. LG and I are both going to Turkey. We're going to go to Turkey, get this all fixed right up.
Yeah,
they solve all your problems in Turkey.
That's what I hear.
You think would it be jarring if you came in like 3 weeks from now, full on coif?
Me? I just don't want the work. I mean, I appreciate the look, but I don't want the work to go.
You'd have highlighter hair.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. We could do that.
We coming with a full KJ.
Right. There you go.
I love that. He did have great hair.
Absolutely.
Okay. So go ahead.
But I think what we're talking about here, what we're looking for is find ways for you to do more of what makes you special in the business, what you are best positioned to do in the business. And I had a conversation with somebody a couple of months ago. They're like, I'm trying to grow. How, what is okay to outsource and what is not okay to outsource, and what's not okay to outsource is what you are best positioned to do.
Voice of reason. Yeah. No, I like it. So when we talk about that, what are we talking about? Common tasks. What are some common tasks? Well, some things to be thinking about from an outsource and automate standpoint. Social media is a big
correct,
one,
100%.
right? I mean, because it's such a time drain. I mean, it can be very valuable. Right? There's people that are monetizing it, making a lot of money. It is a long-term commitment.
It is,
and it can be very draining if that's not your core business. Right. If you're an attorney, right, and practicing law, litigation or contract law or torts or real estate law, yes, social media can be helpful in attracting business, but if you're trying to be your own social media person too, that becomes problematic. And I think the challenge for a lot of people in that area is also not really understanding the ROI or not committing to the long-term ROI of it. So they go, oh, how much? So you go looking for the cheapest provider. Right. Not understand, like, oh, I don't see that value. My uncle sold beds for 20 years. Okay. He's one of the highest grossing.
Good for him.
Salespeople.
Yeah.
And he would use management always, oh, you must be walking. You appreciate sales, right? You must be walking customers because your gross is so high. Right. You're blowing people out that you could be buying. And they're like, well, what? Help us understand. Well, I want to know what your process is. Right. Because if somebody comes in and says they want a king bed, I walk them over to the $10,000 king bed. Right. And then let them tell me. Who am I to assume that they want a $499 king bed? Right. Right. So let them tell me. So when I start there, I'm not doing anything manipulative. I'm showing them the best product we have in the store. 100%. And then I'm allowing them to do a comparison. Right. Right. Versus the guy who comes in and then, what the other sales guy's questions would be. First question would be, what are you looking to spend? Right. Like, and then they would go take the customer, to the budget point. Right. Like not giving them an opportunity. But what was so interesting is so many people discount a bed. They go looking for the $1,299 because the idea of $10,000 is crazy. Right. Until you spend a third of your life in bed. Right. And then you sit on that $10,000 bed and you're like, ooh. Right. but it's that. So here's a question. So again, he's a practical. If you ever meet him, this will all make sense. Willie H has met him on several occasions. Look forward to it. If you think of my personality, just amplify that. Okay. Amplify it to an age where now it doesn't matter what you say anymore because you don't care. like imagine that's basically it. But his statement was, "Let me ask you a question." So you say, "Go $10,000. You crazy?" Well, let me ask you a question. Where'd you go on your last vacation? Right. Oh, we went to Jamaica. Sandals, all inclusive. What'd you spend? Oh, $8,500. How long was it? 6 days. Right. So, I'm sorry. Let me get this straight. You spend $8,500 to go away for 6 days. Right. Most of what you ate or drank is gone. Right. Is out of your system. Right. It was rented. Right? You were in the pool. You were this. You were that. Right. But now you're back to your home. So what you're telling me is $8,500 is okay to spend for 6 days somewhere to have some photos and memories, but not for something that you will occupy for a third of your life that you get into roughly every single night. 100%. And should be spending 6, 7, 8, 9 hours in. Well, it's a comparison of where you're relaxing and what are you investing in, right? Where you put value. Right. Are you relaxing in Jamaica for a week? Right. And you come back and your hair on fire. Right. Sure. Which is why we don't have any. And you're on your hard bed or your sunken mattress
on a rock, and 15-year-old.
Correct.
So do you invest in every night of the ability to relax so that you're refreshed, so that you can be even more effective the next day. Exactly. Is what your uncle's talking about. Right. And that's belief system. That's mindset, right? That's where you talk about the spillover, right? So social media management, content creation, things like SEO in terms of being found. Right. I can tell you it's a great feeling to ask somebody, how did you find me? And it was like, you showed up in an article. Yeah. Or we found your interview. Right. Or that type of thing. Right. Because I didn't have a cost per, you could argue I have a cost per acquisition, but I really don't. I have an overall marketing expense for my business. Right.
But like for that to happen organically,
Right.
I had a great meeting with somebody in the UK today that found me through LinkedIn.
Okay.
And sees the breadth of content and stuff that I share on there.
Right.
And then, obviously being qualified. But
correct.
There's no ad that could have done that for me.
Nope.
And that could be a significant piece of business.
Yeah. And And what you're talking about, we'll bring it back to, you talked about lawyers and accountants, right?
Yeah.
You are a content creator.
Mm.
If that's where you generate your revenue, if
Right.
you're a lawyer and you make your money practicing law, if
Right.
you're an accountant or a
Right.
CPA or a CFO, a fractional CFO, if that's where you make your money, then pay somebody to promote you who is a professional promoter
Right.
and somebody who's a social media expert. Because if you get sucked into the ever-evolving world of social media, because it's a moving target,
Right.
if you get sucked into that and you're not keeping up with it, it's sucking you away from all the things that you could be doing to generate revenue.
That's right.
Maybe
That's right.
this guy can help me.
That's right. Bookkeeping and accounting. That's
Correct.
a big one. A real popular one right now. And that's being taken aggressively over, not over, but AI is playing a big role in that.
Yes.
I mean, I can't tell you the amount of people. I don't understand it. I don't want to know. I haven't touched a QuickBooks
Right.
software in 10 years.
Right.
I don't use it.
Right.
We use other technology and outsource and use other partners.
Right.
But like, I can't imagine. I mean, I've done enough to get a headache.
Yeah.
Like that's not my skill set.
That's not what you're.
So I don't want to be in there reconciliation and moving stuff. And Cory, it's not that big deal. Well, if it's not that big of a deal, and you don't have a background in accounting already,
Right.
then you're not using it properly.
Right.
Because to use that software properly can be very intricate.
Yes.
So if you're just doing a few things, then you're not actually using it to its full potential. Because to use it to its full potential, you need to know what you're doing.
Yes.
So that's just a big one. Now, whether that's utilizing AI or some of the outsourced services or a local provider who's offering that as a service, I mean, your costs can scale. I've seen bookkeeping as low as $149,
Right.
and as high as several thousands of dollars, depending on the intricacy of your business and
Right.
and the manpower and frankly the pricing model of the person
Correct.
or company.
Correct. Their background, their expertise,
Right.
their understanding,
And they're
of all
right
that.
to charge what they want to charge.
Right.
You
That's
know?
exactly right. And it's and I think we have people that listen to this show at all different levels of business.
Sure.
We've got some solopreneurs and we've got people that have got
Mhm.
10-person business. We've got people that've got multi-million-dollar businesses
Right.
that listen to this show.
That's right.
And in every situation, you had to start somewhere.
Right.
And you had to do some things because you had to do them. But as you continue to increase your revenue,
Yep.
as you continue to grow your business, look for what we're talking about are ways that you can outsource or hire somebody to do specific tasks for you so you can spend more time in building your business, generating revenue, and doing the things that you are uniquely positioned to be great at.
Exactly.
I was buying you time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I got 27 emails coming as
Right.
we're doing the podcast.
100%.
But listen, we're practitioners.
Correct.
Things happen.
Right.
We take a break here. We're on email. You're out grabbing a call. I mean,
Right.
that's the deal. That's why we're not gurus.
Right.
We're not, we're not at the top of the mountain going, like we're living it right now. Like, okay, can we move this appointment? Hold on, I'm podcasting right now, So it's important. So now
Right.
that was, and that's looking at that customer service.
Yeah.
We're replying to, customer service issues, virtual assistant support. Some things require critical thinking, but some things don't. So,
Correct.
and then again, you have the merge over from technology. We've got a client now that we've just put a bot on their site that
Okay.
now has spidered their whole website.
Okay.
So now that bot has all the knowledge base from the website.
Okay.
So now the redundancies, they were getting phone calls asking their address.
Oh, okay.
Now and you don't have that kind of staff, right?
Right.
You've got 2-3 people at the front counter.
Right.
Someone tying up a phone when a customer's in front, answering the phone just to go, "What are your hours?"
Right. Exactly.
Or whatever. right?
Right.
So now you can just ask the bot, and the
Right.
bot will tell you.
Exactly.
Well, how much does it cost to have, a storage locker?
Right.
Great question. It starts at $75. Go here to start it, instead of that being a phone call. So
Correct.
that becomes the efficiency. Does that mean I need to fire one of those 3 people that were at the front desk? No, because there's probably some other things that need to get involved in.
Correct.
Maybe they can get involved in managing the social media,
Right.
or the TikTok account, or some of those things that they're freed up to do now. So it's important to think about it that way from an outsource standpoint. Now, from an automation, what do we think about?
Right.
Email marketing campaigns.
Correct.
Schedule management, calendar management. These are great tools that
Right.
will move your stuff around based on, if you tell the thing, I need to find an hour to do deep work.
Right.
It will move your schedule around, send it out to the people to move it around, and
Right.
move.
Yeah, some of the
Scary.
CRMs have those things built into them where you could do some of that automated work.
Inventory tracking,
100%. Yeah.
And management of those things. And then, your wheelhouse, sales follow-ups.
Yes.
And CRM updates.
Yeah.
Because here's one thing I can promise you. If you get an email from me at like 5 a.m,
Right.
I wrote it last night.
Right. Maybe. if it maybe last week.
That is correct too. For sure. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. But if it's 5 a.m, I wrote it.
Right.
85% of it.
And you scheduled it.
And I scheduled it.
Right.
Now I don't want to let the cat out of the bag if you were like, oh, Cory was up at 5 a.m. thinking about me.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I was thinking about you.
And
when I send it to you,
I thought about you at 6:30 yesterday.
It's an extension of me thinking about you. Right.
Exactly.
It's a multiplier. But to your point, though, it's, these follow-up opportunities. How do you keep yourself on task? How do you keep yourself on schedule? And, there's some of these things, by automating some of these things, it frees you up. I talk about writing to remember something so that I don't have to. But what that does for me is it frees up my mind to think about something else.
Yeah.
Same concept as
if it were that simple.
Well, right. But the same concept as automation, right?
Right.
If you're trying to remember to do something over and over and over again, if you can automate it, it now allows you to think about how can you strategically advance your business.
Yeah.
That's something that you don't have to consider. Am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this?
But you and I both know there's songs that we shouldn't remember the lyrics to that
my Lord,
should have long lost their head.
Yes.
So I need a neuroscientist. Who is that? Who can explain that to me? Why can I remember songs from the 80s?
Right.
Why can I remember Tears for Fears? That should be gone. Like that shouldn't be. How can I have that occupy my head? Right. Yet ask me. I don't know what I had for lunch last Tuesday or yesterday.
Right. Or sometimes
I gotta
today.
ponder. Yeah, I gotta ponder that.
Right, exactly.
But if that comes on, everybody wants to. I know it. Okay.
You do. Yes, indeed.
All right. So let's just So I'm going to give you some key considerations to think about that. Now that we've kind of put this in your head, what are some things that you could be doing? So here are some key considerations. Number one is, frankly, identify the tasks that drain your time or resources.
Okay.
And are not directly tied to your expertise.
Correct.
Okay. Number one. Number two, or you want to make a comment on that?
Go ahead. Because you probably got what I'm going to say. You probably got in there.
All right. Two.
Time
so assess the return on investment, ROI. Now, of course, you've been around me long enough to know my big thing also is ROE,
right?
Which is return on energy.
Right.
So assess the return on investment and return on energy for both outsourcing and automation.
Right.
Sometimes the outsourced company will handle your automation.
Right.
Right. You might outsource to automate.
Correct.
So there may be a combination. 3, research and vet the vendors or tools to ensure they align with your business goals. Now you notice I did not say get the cheapest person you can find to do the task.
Okay.
Because I know companies, big and small,
right,
that took the lowest bid,
right,
and spent more money fixing, correcting, going back than they would have spent with a provider that might have been more money initially or as part of an ongoing process. And now it became a big mess.
Yeah. Well, this is part of aligning and understanding and aligning with your goals and what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So when you're when you're talking to people about automation and about what that looks like, do they understand what you're trying to accomplish?
Sure.
And then can they clearly communicate with you how they're going to help you do that?
Understanding communication, getting on the same page is huge.
Yes.
And understanding that there is understanding how, i.e., whether these companies, the outsourcing company, or it's an individual, understanding their process and how they work.
Yes.
And the expectations, whether that's turnaround time, how they process work, how you communicate with them, those modes, to make sure that that's important to you. You know, we work with a few people, you know, where there's some language barriers.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's frustrating sometimes because all right, we went through this 2-3 times. Now it's time to get on the Zoom.
Right.
Now, if we get on the Zoom, we just looking at each other. Because I'm going to need one of the United Nations people.
You're gonna need the headset.
I'm going to need the headset. Yeah, I'm going to need the headset and the delay.
Right. That's exactly right.
I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and then somebody's going to translate that. So, and that's important based on what you're doing. Does that matter to you?
Yes.
How, you know, and that should be, that's you know, overseas stuff, but even East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
Right? You've got somebody, you know, on the West Coast, you're in East Coast, you've got somebody on the West Coast. Well, they say they don't start working on projects until, you know, 9 a.m. their time.
Right.
Well, it's noon already here.
Correct.
Does that work for whatever you do and your needs? So not just, you know, price, not just qualification, but does their style, policies, and procedures fit what you're trying to do also? Yeah.
I mean, can you ride in parallel lanes with this company who's doing the work that you want to work with?
Oh, I thought it was someone other. I was like, can you drive and park at the same time? I didn't know where you were going. I gotta watch you with that. So then the last part of this is the idea: start small. Right? It's the how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Start small with 1 or 2 tasks before expanding your outsourcing or automation efforts. Because that's the other thing. Because it goes back to trying to check the box. Oh, I found this company great. Let me offload this to you. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then now you go back and see again, if the communication wasn't right or established properly, you find things weren't done correctly. And it's highly possible nobody's at fault in the general pointing finger sense. But people maybe just didn't miscommunicate, or you had greater expectations because you have to be careful, particularly when you're dealing with, sorry, my gig workers, but when you're dealing with single point people who are maybe providing services, a graphic designer or whatever. We had a great graphic designer for years. She was great. She was freelancing after working at a large New York agency. So it was like a real get. She had great design. But she woke up one day and decided she wanted to be a yogi. So I got a message. Work with me. So I got a message. So I got a Slack notification that was like, oh, you know, just so you know, once we wrap this up, I'm going to be kind of stepping back from my creative work. I really want to pursue my, you know, yoga practice. And not opening up a practice, but, you know, the practice of yoga. I want to pursue that. And, you know, I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to do this and do that. And I'm like, lady, I got 5 PowerPoints I need to get done. I need all this stuff done. So you got to watch out for that too.
Yes.
And the further you're now, she was in New York. So that's, I mean, still a problem, but a localized problem. If I needed to get involved, I could get involved there. You know, we've told the story about the website bomb that we had to go roll up on the guy back in the day. Woo, the young days. But, you know, you've got somebody overseas and they just go ghost. Now it's like, what? What is the deal? So you got, you know, you have to be careful of that. And that's what it's great services, Upwork, places like Fiverr, places like that, where you can vet the business, vet the people, that kind of thing.
You can check reviews and do the things correct.
For sure.
Yep.
Thoughts, closing thoughts?
So
that's all I got on this.
I got 2 thoughts on this. The first one is, we'll work backwards. The first one is, you know, you talk about testing things out and try and give them a little bit of work and then build on that. And I'm a big fan of the Jim Collins books, Good to Great, Great by Choice. And in one of his books, he talks about fire bullets and then cannonballs. And what he means by that is test a couple things out, fire it, see what kind of response it is, see how accurate it is, see what kind of impact it has. And then when you find the right impact, then magnify it with a cannonball. But start with your bullets and then, you know, fire bullets and then cannonballs. going back to the energy piece, and this can be an oversimplified way to think about what you outsource and what you don't. But you talked about energy. Think about when you do certain things in your business, does it drain you or does it drive you?
Energize, drive, yeah.
So if it drains you, then these might be things you want to look at to say, okay, can I?
Got to have perspective on that, though, because there are things when you're, I want to add to that and tweak it a little bit because I think there's a self-awareness factor. Because there are things that I do that I'm really excited about, and I'm exhausted later from executing.
From the work on it, okay.
Right, so you don't want to confuse your feeling feeling tired or exhausted with meaning the idea. So it's really, to me, in the moment. Right. If you're doing some admin stuff and you're just like, you can't, it's just not connecting with you. Right. That's different than hitting it for a day, having calls, helping clients, getting some wins, and then now you sit down at 9:30 and you're out like a light.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It's, the task, does the task drain you or does the work drain you?
That's it. Yeah.
And so if you're,
I want to work with.
and to your point, Cory, this is something you're uniquely qualified to do. You expend all your energy because you're the one to do it. That doesn't mean it's draining you, but it certainly takes energy and you're tired.
That's right.
But you're tired because of the amount of effort and energy you put into it. 100%. It's not sucking the life out of you. And I think that's really the big difference.
No, I think I agree with you 100%. And I think we're going to take our own medicine.
Perfect.
And not talk past the conversation.
Yeah.
I think you've got some practical tools here, from that perspective. And I would just set the challenge out to you as viewers, listeners, consumers of the content. What is it in your life right now that you can automate? What can you outsource? What would make you more efficient? Really taking the time to go through that list, whether that's new CRM, email marketing, project management, getting yourself on Monday.com or Asana or, Freshdesk, or starting to look at those. And I understand it can be overwhelming. That's why we say, hey, let's focus on one or two things at a time. Identify those tasks first. So I think if you work that plan, kind of rewind this a little bit, go back to that 4-step plan, work that plan, you're going to find some efficiencies, whether financial, whether, through automation, getting more of your time back, having opportunity to spend more time with family. Entrepreneurship and business doesn't have to be synonymous with an inability to raise your children, to show up at things, to be at things. One of our clients was talking yesterday. A big deal just came together, and they're having a launch. The partner is having like a big launch event in Las Vegas, and all this stuff's happening. And he's like, it's killing me, kind of. I can't be there because my daughter has an orchestra recital.
Oh, wow.
And it's very important to her. And, one of our other relatives missed one and they never heard the end of it. Right. But it's very important to my daughter. And, I would love to be this, obviously our product service going into this, partnership. But I got to pick my, you can't get that moment. There'll be a million parties. Right. You can't get that moment back.
Right.
So you don't have to operate under that sacrifice.
Correct.
If you can leverage the tools and leverage the things available, and again, make those decisions. Right. We'll have an episode on why you can't say yes to everything at another time. But for this one, we're just going to go ahead and wrap that up. Ultimately, effectively leveraging outsourcing and automation, you can reclaim valuable time, enhance your efficiency, focus your energy on growth-driving activities. Delegating is not a bad word.
Correct.
There it is.
No sense talking past
Yes, if you love things like this, you're going to love Position for Growth. If you don't have your copy yet, head over to Amazon.com. You can pick it up there, or CoryMosley.com. Get your copy of Position for Growth. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. I think we've hit what we wanted to hit. We're thankful to have you here as a viewer, a listener. We encourage you to continue listening, share it with other entrepreneurs and business owners that you may know. We're thankful to have you here, and we're going to continue doing what we do. This has been another episode of the Grow Business Podcast. On behalf of myself, Cory Mosley, LG007 Lon Graham, and Willie H. We will see you next time. Willie H., take us out. There you have it. Automate.
That's a good time. Good timing.
Don't automate me, though. I don't want to be automated.
There's just no.
Am I here right? Look, am I here right now?
There is
or
no AI or no bot that's going to automate you. You are far too dynamic. In the best possible way.
I know what you meant. No,
there's a guy that I used to work with. He would say something. He goes, "But I mean that in a good way."
Yeah. I don't know if you have to clarify that.
Well, exactly, right? Yeah. That's exactly right.
Well, it's just like, anything that follows when they use the word "but."
Right.
Right. Oh, you were great today, but.
Right.
Now we're getting to the point. Yeah.
Well, what was it that Peter Margaritas taught us? Came down and talking about improv, right? He goes, if you say yes, but then it's no longer yes.
Correct.
If you say yes and you're building on it.
That's right. And as Walter Bond says, all butts stink.
Oh yeah, there you go. Perfect. I'll have to meet him one day. I look forward to the opportunity to meet him.